Okay, next bit then. For today's lesson, you'll need the textbook. So I've put the link there, even better if you've got the actual book at home. And you're going to be working in your maths book, or if you don't have your maths book, on paper or Google Doc. So the title for today is Solving Equations, and the date is the 18th of February. So please do title and date your work. So you're going to read page 539. I'm just going to open up the textbook actually, so you can have a look at that. I can show you the bit you're going to read, and you're going to copy some of the key ideas into your book. All right, so this is chapter 10, page, was it? Page 539. Oh, I've gone too far. Okay, so this is basically the section I'd like you to start at. It's called Finding the Missing Value. And we've done some things like this, but today we're actually starting to talk about equations. So solving an equation means finding the value of the letter or the pronumeral that makes the equation true. And if we solve something, it's called a solution. So I want you to write these sentences down into your books. And one method of solving equations is by inspection. So this is probably the way that you've been using so far without even thinking about it. So if we have a look down here at these examples, solve each of these equations by inspection basically means, so by inspection, essentially means you just look at it and you have a bit of a guess. So that might not seem like a very mathematical method, but for very simple equations, it's okay to do that. So you might look at this and you'll say, all right, C plus 12 equals 30. What plus 12 equals 30? All right, can everybody, I was about to say, can everyone have an answer for that? But the solution's down here. So the answer is 18. All right, you probably just know that 18 plus 12 would make 30. The other way of thinking about this is a method called inverse operations, which if you do the extension today, you might do, or some of you might have seen before if you've done algebra outside school. So what we think of here is, all right, C plus 12 equals 30. So we take away 12 from both sides of our equation. So we say, okay, if I take 12 off of this side, it gets me C on its own. And if I take 12 off of this side, it leaves me with 18. Okay, so that's inverse operations, and that's when we do the same thing on both sides of our equation. So we think of the equal sign as the middle, and then at the moment when it starts, it's called balanced. We call it a balanced equation because it's true, and to keep it balanced, we always have to do the same thing on both sides. Okay, you are then going to scroll down and let me just have a quick look back at the questions I want you to do. So questions 5, 6 and 7 from the fluency section. So that is, we're not going to do those first ones. We're just going to go straight to these ones. Solve the following equations by inspection. So I want you to have a look at these and just try and work out what they are. Okay, they do get a bit harder. These question 5 is what we call a one-step equation because you really only have to do one thing. All right. Question 2 are kind of two-step equations. So for example, 2p minus 1 equals 5. First I'm doubling p and then I'm subtracting 1. So I'm doing two things to p to get the answer 5. So we have to kind of undo both of those things. So you might want to solve this by just doing trial and error. So thinking of some different numbers that could be p. So is p 5? Well, 2 times 5 is 10, minus 1 is 9, so that doesn't work. Or 2 times 4 is 8, minus 1 is 7, so that doesn't work. Or you can use inverse operations, where you think, okay, I double it. 2p means 2 times p. So if I then subtract 1, I get 5. So my inverse operations, I'd say, okay, let's add 1 to both sides. So now this is just 2p is 6, and then divide by 2. Divide by 2. So that would be P equals 3. So that's a different way of doing it. All right, then you've got some even harder ones down here, but again, you're just going to try and figure out what the solution is. And remember, solution just means the value of the letter that makes it work. If you're quite confident with this, or you've done a lot before, the extension is to go down and keep going through this activity. So you've got the problem solving questions here. You might try a few of those, or you might keep going and go all the way into the reasoning section. It's getting harder. And then the final question is actually an enrichment question. It goes all the way up to question 15 for those of you who would like to do it or you've done this sort of thing before. All right. At this point, if you would like to log off, I don't mind. So you can go and get some of that work done. Just a reminder, you've also got the answers here in the Google Classroom. So the answers are there so you can look for yourself. For about another 5 minutes, for those of you who want a little bit more help, or you're just not quite ready to start yet and you want to do some examples together, I'm going to go onto a My Maths task and do some examples, all of us together, and I'll be calling people out to do that. Okay, so while I get the My Maths task ready, it's up to you guys if you want to stay. It would be really useful if you have a pen and paper, just a scrap piece of pen and paper with you, so you can join in with the activities when I ask you to write down answers. Okay, if not, I would suggest that you can leave, or you can just put me on mute. I won't be offended, and you can do some work in the background. I'll be online for the whole lesson. All right, I'm going to now go over to My Maths then and get some examples ready for us to do. Okay, so let's log on to My Maths. There we go, KGVS Maths 19 is the password there. And I'm going to have a look at some algebra equations. We're doing linear equations, and we'll just start with one-step equations. Okay, usually one-step and possibly two-step equations you can just do in your head. All right, so guys, there is question 1 up on the screen, and it says solve these equations. We've got n plus 1 equals 6, what's n? 10 equals n plus 5, what's m? Please could you all have a go at these first 6 questions. I'm going to give you about 1 or 2 minutes of thinking time, and then I'm going to be sorry, that's my dog barking in the background. Then I'm going to be calling out some names to give me their answers. If you can also go on to have a go at the second one, even better, I will go through that. Okay, so 1 or 2 minutes now to have a go at that, please. Okay, so anyone who's still watching, or maybe people who are leaving, watching this video back later, here are the answers for you. So I'm just thinking 17 minus 8 makes 9, so Q must be 17. We've got 13, 15, and 12. And the second part of the question, a centre seat costs £10 less than an aisle or window. And an aisle or window is represented by the letter A. So if the centre costs 270, that is A minus 10, which means A is 280. Okay, right, so people on the video, here are the answers to that, and hope you guys have a good day. All right, bye-bye.